guys, you remember this TV?
This is the 1982 RCA Colortrak. Inline gun tube, digital tuning. It's actually cable TV ready too. I don't know what the channel range is. Probably 2 through 36, most likely. Now I cleaned it up with the air compressor pretty good. I didn't do much else. This blew a bunch of black and yellow crap out of it, and some of it's stuck on there, but this is loads better than what it was before. You couldn't even see the yoke. That's how dirty it was. Well, there it is, an hour and a half later of continuous cleaning. I just went straight with the Novus. It kicked its ass. I mean, I used Glass Plus. It's like Windex or Valmonia. There's some nicotine crap stuck at the very top. It wouldn't take it off. Novus took it right off, and the Novus took all the nicotine off. In fact, I turned like 5 rags and several paper towels like brown. You can't tell from the angle now, but it's like that shit. I had to clean the TV like 2 or 3 times and then buff it out. It's all shiny now. Picture tube's all shiny and Novus'd up.
Now it's come time to fully disassemble, and we're going to thoroughly clean this TV. This TV must have been in a bar, because there's no way that amount of tar buildup could have happened. I mean, this TV, the tar actually protected the TV. The TV is actually mint. It just needs cleaned up again. This TV sat for probably about 8 years now. I quit using it because it had horrible ghosting on the images. It could need an alignment. It could be the tar. I don't know. But here, we're turning it on for the first time in that long.
Hallelujah Church of Scranton in Korean. It was either this or an
Buttons are being cleaned really bad too.
You didn't have to bring any coffee, did you, Michael? Milk and sugar.
That looks kind of bad.
Awesome, you're a lifesaver.
The tubes need to wake up a bit.
Wait, is this just milk and sugar?
That's what I said.
Do you drink this every day?
We're doing okay.
Yeah, this is, the tube kind of went to sleep a little bit. But it is nice and bright. Now, the problem I'm having, like, let's see. See how it has ghosting around all the letters?
ATV decodes the Andy Griffith Show.
You're gonna jump clear out of your skin.
That means you are going to be very excited.
Well put.
See if you can decode the Andy Griffith Show.
Alright, it's been on for probably a half hour now. You can see how bad everything kind of looks around the edges of everything, and there's snow, and definitely in need of focus and grayscale. Yeah, it looks much worse in person. You know, see, look around the text and everything. It's pretty bad. The worst of all, inside is absolutely disgusting. So we're going to do a thorough clean on this. Okay, we're in it. Got some cobwebs going on, but it's also not showing up on camera too well, but it's just greasy and nasty in here. But what I always liked about the Colortrak sets, I mean, look at the magnet on this speaker. It always got such a nice sound. But yeah, we're gonna pull this because not only is it disgusting in here, it stinks, and who knows what other problems this is causing. Especially look around the second anode leads and everything. So that'll be fun. I have to wash. My hands are gonna get so nasty working on this. And this is what it looks like under the second anode connector. Yikes. We're getting there. A lot of wiring with this electronic tuner. Alright. Everything's loaded in the parts washer. So here we go. Alright. This is just the rinse. I want to see how bad the water looks. It's definitely discolored. Alright, for this next step, follow everything removed. I just leave the picture tube in place. But with some simple green, hose it down, let it sit for a few minutes. It's already, you can tell it's already degunking the crap on there. And best way about doing this is it doesn't disturb anything on the tube. So yeah, this TV has a big cabinet for a 19-inch. I like it. So I'll wait another minute or two and then I'm gonna hose it down. Okay, this is the first pass. As you can see, it's dramatically cleaner. The stickers, just don't try to aim with the hose. It won't hurt them when they dry. They'll still look the same. Been there, done that. Not too much you can do. This is just a tough situation to work with. A simple green. Then this should be it. So, soak it down pretty good. Now we let it sit again. And here's the keypad disassembled. Just a foil that's been stuck on. So I'm gonna try like a very short cycle on the ultrasonic to clean underneath of it. All right, and then here's after the cleaning process. When it cleaned up, I got all the gunk off, as you can see. Now begins the important part, the dry time. And here it is after the fact. I actually had to get some lighter fluid and run along these cables to get the rest of the gunk that was caked on off. That's how bad it was. These are supposed to be white. They're not white. So I'm gonna do some reassembly on it now. Interesting to note about this keypad up here, the front piece. In the ultrasonic we use simple green again. Turns out this actually had a plastic film on it, and you know the numbers are kind of yellowed. Turns out that plastic film with age and tar or whatever turned it brown. The simple green actually stripped it off. I mean, in pieces, of course. I scraped it off of a toothbrush and got it all off. Now look how shiny this is. You can also see what the most pressed buttons were, 0 and 3. So it was either on a cable box or a VCR for a long time. This is a cable ready set. But yeah, look how nice and bright the letters are now, and look how shiny this is. This is great. I didn't know what to expect when I started seeing it peel off. I'm like, oh crap. But then it turns out I was able to get it all off, and it looks great now. I already tried starting to assemble the keypad, and now with it being clean, it has nice tactile feedback on all the buttons except 2. Looks like the little peg nipple was broken off. Probably before. I don't think I've ever tried tuning it channel 2. So I was able to take a piece of toothpick. I got it super glued in place for now. It's already should be done drying. I'm gonna now epoxy over it for some strength, and that should fix the problem. So this is what it looks like after the epoxy. When I put it back together, if it's too tall, I'll just carefully trim it down. As you can see, it will work. It looks pretty good. It should be nice and solid once it cures. In the meantime, this fell out of the TV when I first got it. So I just laminated it, and we'll put it back in the TV. So this is what it looks like after everything is dried. I started to do a little reassembly. Cabinet's dry. Got the circuit boards and stuff in front of the drying fan. Got that glued in place. It's much better. And 24 hours later, the repair was a success. I had to trim a little bit off because it was actually pushing the button up a little bit, but now it's perfectly flush with the rest. And now when you press it, oh, there's a nice solid feel to it now. Okay, reassembling the tuner now. See that stain on there and everything. This has got a, even though everything came clean, everything that we say white is stained horribly. This has got to be the nastiest TV for that. If you look at the twin lead here, this is supposed to be white. It's actually darker in person. The white balance is kind of adjusting, but yeah, that's pretty bad. And I think I may have found the problem with the picture. If you look at the coax here, that end is all, the strands are all broken on it. This was going into the tuner through that RCA jack right there, so I'm hoping that was the issue. I wasn't completely done with cleaning yet. The CRT neck board and where also the focus and screen controls go was absolutely still coated with tar and grease and stuff. And since there's so many small components on there, I dipped these in the ultrasonic and they came out spotless. And this has a cover that actually comes off. I pulled it off, and this whole inside was kind of disgusting, so this is now thoroughly clean. It came out very well, including a little spark gap right here on the focus pin. Okay, TV is fully assembled again. I removed all the old tape holding the wires together and redid it with zip ties, nice and neat. Better than when it left the factory. Got the wires dressed as close as I could how it was originally. So now we're gonna fire it up. It's a 50-50 chance of what's gonna happen. It either fixed the problem with the ghosting due to all the crap that was going on in it, the dirt and the bad connections. You know, I deoxidated all the connectors. And if it still does it, we're gonna continue troubleshooting it from there. Okay, we are plugged in. This is what the chassis looks like all cleaned up now. So here we go. That's what was missing before. That's the other thing I fixed was oh yeah, that works too. Nope, we still got the ghosting, but we could still work with it. Notice how the degaussing coil came on. The thermistor for it had a lead broken off, and I repaired that. The color is going to be off a bit because I deoxided all these controls here. It's just funny, even though the degaussing coil wasn't working all this time, I don't think it made that that bump sound ever since I had it, and yet the tube never got magnetized. With all the moving around it did. This TV even went out to our storage unit and back, and didn't get magnetized. That's amazing. Okay, here's where we stand right now. I tried adjusting the sharpness control, aka the peaking control on the rear of the TV, and it does absolutely nothing. So I'm willing to bet that's where our problem lies. It's probably either shorted or something else in that circuit. It's not responding at all, so that's probably it. The sharpness is up full blast or something else, and it's causing the ghosting like it is. But it is a major improvement over what it looked like before. It's not as bad, but you can see like right around the eagle right here. Oh, come on!
That was an eagle for you. A brown eagle.
You suck. It smells like ass in here now. And one more thing to check. If you go 02, 02 works. I don't think that worked before. I just assumed it being gummed up, but that little peg was missing. But as you can see now, I just lightly touch the controls, and everything enters as I'm telling it. Before, remember I was pressing 03 and it kept going to 02 and 07. It was just doing a whole bunch of random stuff. Let's see here. Yeah, here. This is just interface with the contrast control. It's a real simple circuit. Nothing fancy about it. And up front, you just, oops, here's the door latch. You only have contrast, color, brightness, and tint. Yeah, I think that's what's going on is the sharpness control. I want to say it's shorted. It might be shorted like full blast max. That's why it's ghosting like it is. And now to explain the noise in the picture too, because if it's up too high, it'll also amplify any noise. But at least that's right in the back of the chassis, and it'll be an easy repair. Okay, this is interesting. After it was on, the picture just slowly started getting dim, and it would come back up, and it wasn't high voltage. It was more like the heaters were going out again, like it did when I first got it. Had no heaters. And also, if I tapped on the TV, I lost my red video signal, and it just went to like a red raster of free trace lines. And after cleaning it, I'm getting all that gunk off. Look at these solder connections. They're terrible on this. In fact, on the pins here, I'm going to try to focus on it. It's cracked right there. And if I'm right, I think that's one of the heater pins right there. So I'm going to reflow all the solder on this, but also right there's a big gap there. It's only like connected there, and he's soldered in right there. This whole board was very poorly done. So I bet you that may have been what was wrong originally too. Combination of things. So I'm gonna go ahead and reflow the solder joints on it and try this again. Okay, I reflowed all the bad solder joints I could find, especially on the CRT pins. I'm gonna give this another try, see what happens. Okay, here we go again. Bonk. Never did that before till now. Yep, that was it. Especially on that heater pin, the one that labeled HE2. Wow, it must have been running at reduced voltage before, because this is much brighter. Oh, I had it all the way up and I was trying to figure out what the hell was wrong. It was weird, like I was watching it and the picture slowly started to go away. And it wasn't a high voltage loss because, you know, the picture didn't change size or anything. Now that this is up and running, I tweaked the focus. Now, that's just it. The sharpness, you can tell it's just maxed out. That's why it looks the way it does. And probably some other things, but that explains everything right here. But other than that, it does look far better than it did before when we started. This TV must have been put together on a Friday or something. I'm finding a lot of mistakes in here. This is the sharpness potentiometer control. Can you tell me what's wrong with it? It's supposed to be connected here and on the wiper, basically as a rheostat. Instead, you know, you could tell it's wrapped around this leg, it's wrapped around the wiper, and it accidentally got soldered to the other leg, hence it would make it run full blast. So someone goofed. So I'm gonna have to fix that. But as I was working on this, finding out even more issues. In fact, now I really see what was going on. You see, it's supposed to be about this many wraps around it and soldered. They only got like a couple turns. The rest of the wire was stripped all the way down to here and accidentally got soldered onto that leg there. Damn. So whoever owned this watched this TV in its entire life with the sharpness on full blast like that, looking like crap. I mean, it doesn't look that bad. It looks very sharp, I'll admit, but the highlights just ghost badly. I also trimmed off the excess leads on this because it's not connected to the circuit board or anything. So there, now it should work as a rheostat. But yeah, it was a factory mistake, which back in the day would have been covered under warranty. But I guess no one knew about the peaking control in the back. But let's move on. Oh yeah, it just keeps getting better. Not only was it wired incorrectly, when it was hooked up right, the potentiometer's bad itself. It only works at one end, and as soon as you take it off the one end, it goes to open. You're gonna have to replace. Well, it's in pieces now. I was able to finally get it measured. It's roughly a 220 ohm. And I did an experiment just to see if this really was the problem. Where is it? I jumpered the two wires together, simulating if it was all the way, to counterclockwise, which would be the softest picture. It's fixed. Look at that. It's fixed. That was the problem. So the next thing we got to do, I got to replace that potentiometer to get, because it needs to be a little bit sharper than this. But that said, if I go here, look at that. The text is perfect. That was it. It was just the contrast going full blast open. Except in reality, it would be more like 220 ohms if we were to open it up. So that's probably why the contrast was probably off the charts, or the sharpness was off the charts on that. So yeah, we'll get a new pot in there and get it tweaked a little bit to make it look a bit better. Cameras, I gotta press and hold there. Locked it. That looks a million times better. I just think it's odd it was a double whammy on this one. I mean, it was both a mistake from the factory, making it run full wide open, and the potentiometer was bad at the same time. I mean, what were the odds? This looks better, and I haven't even redone grayscale or anything. It does need it because the not the background, but the drives, the green's up a little too high. But even though it looks good on camera, it looks good in person too. It's just I can tell it's a little on the green side. It needs tweaked. I'm gonna wait till we're all done here. But I'm just so happy that was it. Also, this has that photodiode sensor, so it sees the garage is mostly dark, so the contrast is down a bit. But yeah, see, look at the text on there. That's absolutely perfect now. It's actually watchable.
That is always a sign that you are nervous.
Nervous? You're driving me out of my mind.
We're shouting again.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I will finish this elsewhere.
Huh.
Good morning, Major Nelson. Oh, forgive me for intruding on your Sunday like this, but I broke my lawnmower, and I wondered whether I might borrow yours.
I'm glad you're here, Doctor. I have to talk to you right away.
What day is this? Today is Sunday.
That's what everybody thinks.
I had some slightly bad news. I had no luck locating a suitable potentiometer that would go in there. Everyone's out of stock, so since it's a very infrequently used control, I experimented with some values and came up with 150 ohms for the perfect level of sharpness. So I'm going to permanently solder a resistor in place, and in the future, if I ever get a proper pot for it, I will replace it. But in the meantime, just at least get the TV up and running, and since it's one of those set and forget adjustments, I already kind of did it here, so let's keep going. Okay, just got done doing all the initial adjustments. Our RF automatic gain control needed to be turned up some. It was down a little bit. That's why there was a little bit of noise in the picture. And I just performed grayscale and what else? Adjusted the vertical height, and that's where we're at now. Let's see. Let me focus on this so it doesn't keep changing on us. So that's the color bars right there. One thing you might notice is a little bit of convergence issue right there. You can't do anything with that. This is an inline gun tube with the yoke permanently bonded to the picture tube. And how you would normally adjust the convergence on an inline gun tube, you'd have some purity rings and convergence rings, and for like the center of the screen and the outer of the screen, you would move the yoke around till it was fine, and that's what those wedges are for. If you've ever seen those, that's what the tape you see right there is. Well, if the yoke permanently bonded like it is, you can't do anything with that. So it's not that noticeable on normal program material. So I left the TV on for a while and observed some things. What's happening is the grayscale is kind of drifting all over the place, and got some color bleeding. So we're gonna hook the Syncor up to it and see what's going on, and go from there. Okay, we have the universal adapter hooked up. 6.3 volt heaters, which I need to tweak a little. There we go. Let's see. No G1 shorts. No heater to cathode shorts. It's not even going in the cutoff, except green, which seems to be dominant when we were watching it, even though I adjusted grayscale on it. Whoa, here's what it turned out. So I'm gonna stop the camera here. I'm gonna work through these reactivate cycles and on the restore function until we get a good result. Again, the one to avoid is the red. The red's the last ditch effort. That could make or break the tube. That's only on severe cases. Well, I had to take it all the way up to extended, and this is as good as it gets. So good gun tracking. It's in the green at least now. Cutoff, can't really get it in the cutoff, but that doesn't really affect it as long as the emissions is good. Life test. I'll wait till it kicks in here. Hang on. Yeah, as soon as you hit the life test, it drops. Now, I got this TV in 2007. Let's just say it was honestly used up until, say, 2005. I believe it with this picture tube in here, because they ran a long time, but they really used it hard. But just the fact everything still works and never needed a repair until now is absolutely amazing. It's like 23, 25 years of constant use before it gave out. So we're gonna put it back together, power it up, and see what we got. And well, the Sen, I notice this every time with the Sencor, but this is the aftermath now. I just redid grayscale on it, and it's perfect. The grayscale is not drifting anymore, and I got the contrast only set the mid-range, where before I had it up all the way. And just for example, how doing this, how much the focus has improved. Look how sharp that is in the corner. It's very sharp now. And they press menu. That's how the on-screen menu looks like from the converter box. This is perfect. This TV will live on. It may be a high hours tube, but it's not like we're gonna use this TV every day. And even in its current state, it still will last in the years to come. These tubes just keep on going and going. There we go. Alright, I actually pulled the chassis back out, replacing the 150 ohm back down to a 120. After running the Sencor on the CRT, the focus ended up being razor sharp, and then the sharpness control looked overly sharp. 120 ohms is roughly what the center detent position would have been on the control, so that's what I put back in it, and I think that'll be just fine. Oh yeah, now it's absolutely perfect on the sharpness level. Before, you could tell it was just a little bit over, but this is perfect. Beautiful. And here's the back of the TV. Remember when I got it, I mentioned I couldn't even see the yoke. It was just covered in black dirt. Now look at it. July 1982. Really?
Sorry.
I
see red, green, and yellow.
White.
Oh, sorry.
You have rear access to your bias controls, B, G, and R. Your drive controls for red and blue, green, and vertical height. Set up a normal switch, vertical hold. No more sharpness control, at least for now. Eventually I'll replace that. And your screen and focus controls are accessible from the rear. Over here is the tuner input, 75 ohm, VHF, UHF, and a cable TV normal switch. There's the little jumper in the middle. And that is the one thing I'll say about that tar that was on the TV. Once you get it off, you could tell it had protected the plastic all these years. I mean, now I do it with Novus, so it's equivalent to the same thing, but look, not a scratch on this thing. It's so shiny. Even with the cabinet. As bad as it looked when I got it, now it just shines right up. But even after cleaning it thoroughly, like I did in 2008, it looks much worse in person. I mean, this whole thing's black again. So I did an even better job now with Q-tips and toothbrushes and Novus and all that. So here's the control keypad up front. You can tell on the keypad there are spaces for channel up and down. They had that functionality. Colortrak, RCA with nipper. It's real basic. All you got is contrast, color, brightness, and tint. Photodiode for auto light, auto contrast adjustment, and on volume.